What up, everybody? Good morning and happy Monday. Hope you had a good weekend. DK Show up on the air on your radio dials 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also available online at sportstalk1051.com. You can stream it up over there. You got your smart devices, smart speakers, Google, Alexa, all that good stuff. The app, download it, take it on the go wherever you're at in this crazy world of ours. Video streams also up and rolling. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Appreciate you making us a part of your start to your brand new work week here. What do we got on a Monday morning game plan for us this morning? Well, Brewers bounced back nicely from getting swept by the Phillies, taking 2 out of 3 against the Tigers and winning the series, winning the first 2 games. Bats exploding on Friday, and then the bats go quiet a little bit yesterday. But nonetheless, Brewers picking up a series win against the Tigers, taking the first 2. Now they return back to Milwaukee as they get set to take on the Toronto Blue Jays, who are coming to town. We're going to talk some Brewers, including another prospect potentially. I shouldn't say potentially is going to be making his debut for the Brewers from all signs out there and reports. But another young pitcher going to be making his debut. Carlos Rodriguez sounds like he will be making his major league debut tomorrow, even though nothing officially official yet from the Brewers out there. But another youngster going to be making his debut from the pitching side of things, and we've seen that quite a bit so far for the Brewers this year. Obviously, Robert Gasser making his debut just what, month or so ago. Well, it has been over a month now, but yeah, a few weeks ago. So we've seen him make his debut. We've seen Tobias Myers this year. Now we're going to be seeing Carlos Rodriguez here, which, I mean, we've gotten an early look at, DL Hall was originally a starter at the beginning of the year. He was a youngster, part of the trade package from the Corbin Burns trade with the Baltimore Orioles. So we've seen quite a few young pitchers getting a shot, making their debuts, making some first impressions for this team right away. And that's what, I'm going back to the whole trade deadline talk and the Brewers acquiring potentially a starting pitcher, or maybe a couple starting pitchers by the trade deadline. And I think it kind of goes back to the question, what do the what are the Brewers essentially going to be looking for? Are they going to be looking for, if they are interested in making a move for a starter or two, are they going to be looking for a pitcher that maybe they could control a little bit, arbitration, under contract, under control for a couple of years, or are they going to be looking for maybe a veteran where a team is just looking to shell off the rest of their contract, but probably not get a whole lot in return? We last week we threw out some potential names, both veterans who are on their final years of deals with teams, or guys that potentially could be controlled under contract arbitration for a couple of years here. But that's going to be the interesting part here, how the Brewers take a look at this, because by all accounts too, I mean, we're all crossing our fingers and hoping that Brandon Woodruff's going to be able to come back next year. You've already got Freddie Peralta. I mean, Brewers have seen quite a bit from, or going to be seeing quite a bit from their young starters this year, and this is all while they're still 6.5 up in first place in the division here. But that's going to be an interesting thing to kind of follow when we get to that trade deadline at the end of next month. Do the Brewers, are they prioritizing maybe veterans where they aren't, attached to for after this season or for the future, or would they still like somebody that they can control for a couple of years here? So, but that's going to be tomorrow's start, because Colin Ray is going to get start for the Crew tonight as the Blue Jays come to town. Brewers 11 games over 500 right now. As we mentioned, 6.5 up over both the Cubbies and the Cincinnati Reds and the St. Louis Cardinals. Cubs and Reds, though, 485 win percentage. Then you've got St. Louis at a 484, but Pittsburgh's half a game behind those two teams too. So it's like it's like a race. Knock on wood, I'm not jinxing anything, but it's like a race between these four, and then the Brewers are just sitting up top, 6.5 up next to their closest competition thus far. So yesterday also was the end of a streak. Contreras not getting the starts in the game yesterday, so got that there too. But we'll preview the weekend series, this previous weekend series against the Tigers, and take a look at game one between the Brewers and the Blue Jays tonight. Off day coming up for the Brewers as well on Thursday before they take on Cincinnati for a weekend series, Father's Day weekend series, and then Brewers will do a little bit of a West Coast trip here where they've got games against the Angels and the Padres scheduled up there. So plenty of baseball talk here. By the way, if you're a Cubs fan, I'd love to get some feedback from some Cub fans out there. What are your thoughts on your team right now? I've been seeing a little bit on the socials, and whether it's been Facebook or the X or Twitter and that, quite a few Cubs fans right now, not necessarily too pleased with their new manager. And I know that may be the easy finger to point at and such. You know, when you bring in a new manager and you make him the highest paid manager and he resets the money market out there, that's an easy finger to point out there. But if you are a Cubs fan, I'm genuinely curious to hear what are your thoughts on the Craig Counsell era thus far with the Cubbies, So we'll talk some. Hit me up with a text first off on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912, or hit me up on any of the video streams we got rolling out there. What else do we got on the docket here? So if you were listening last week, you know that we said we're going to be working on a few different summer segments, content stuff out there, right? So we're going to start to kind of put all those pieces together, start to kind of put it all together. And one of those that we threw out there was who is the most underrated Wisconsin sports athletes player of all time? Who is the top dog into that? And we're going to put them into different brackets. So it's going to be kind of a bracket thing. Not really going to seed them, I don't think, because that might be a little too difficult to try to seed them and all. But a lot of you have sent over your nominations, which big thanks for all that, giving me some names. And we've started to put them into groups, into regions, and all that sort of stuff. All right. But for today, for today's purpose, I'd like to finalize one region, but I need your help. Okay. I'm going to need your help with this. And the region that we're going to be looking at, because I think it's fair to say this is a region that can be by itself the most underrated Packers players of all time. Same rule applies to what we kind of threw out there last week. I know a lot of fans are probably going to pick a guy like Sterling Sharp and that. Try to think of maybe somebody who maybe only has one Pro Bowl, no All-Pros, or something like that, right? You know, like we had some good suggestions out there. William Henderson was picked for a couple times out there. You know, players like that. So I know a lot. Is Sterling Sharp a little underrated? Probably from the masses. You know, should he be in the Hall of Fame? Absolutely. 100%. No argument from here. But let's try to think of some other really under the radar type of players. Like, okay, that dude doesn't even get the respect. Sterling Sharp gets the respect from Packers fans out there. There's no question about that. But what about maybe the guy that needs a little bit more respect from Packers Nation out there? Okay, so let's try to finalize now some of these regions so we can get into a little debates on some of these matchups and kick off the summer. So I want to finalize one region today, but I need your help here because let's finalize this Packers one. So where I need your help in this case is, if you haven't yet, okay, I've got some names down. I'm looking for some more. Okay, we're looking for 16, ideally 16. If you haven't gotten me any of those or any nominations or any names or any picks or anything like that, this morning is now the time. This is the deadline. Today is the last day. We're going to be taking your Packers nominations here so we can put that region together. So hit me up with some of those texts. Again, try to stay away from players like Sterling Sharp. We all agree, is he underrated from a national perspective, from a historical perspective? 100%. But is he underrated from a Packers fans standpoint? Maybe for some, but we're looking for the players that really maybe, if you're a fan, be like, oh yeah, I forgot about that dude, and that dude was pretty darn good. Kind of forgot about that guy, and he was really good. So give me some names, all right? Text it, tweet it, Facebook it, video stream it, whatever the case may be over there. We'll do a little local sports roundup brought to you by Amundsen's Appliance Center coming up a little bit later on. Shout out to Fall Creek Softball, your Division 4 state champions. So Fall Creek taking out Cuba City in the championship game, 7-0, blanking them to win the D4 championship. Congrats to the Fall Creek Crickets over there. We know the teams for girls soccer who will be heading to state. Division 2, River Falls is going over there. They earned a 4 seed. Division 3, Rice Lake is going back to state. They earned a 4 seed. Division 4, Regis McDonald also going to state. They earned a 4 seed as well. I know we got baseball state coming up too. So we'll do a quick local sports recap coming up as well. I mean, the Express also over the weekend taking 2 out of 3. They swept Wilmore in 2 games. Fell to Waterloo yesterday. So we'll hit that up coming up a little bit later on here too. NBA Finals game 2 last night. Celtics jumping out to a 2-0 lead in that series over the Dallas Mavericks. Saw this pop up over the weekend again. I mean, Brad Stevens. So you want to talk about this guy. This guy, Brad Stevens. Okay, starts off. I mean, really makes a name for himself. Head coach at Butler, right? Takes his Butler Bulldogs to a couple of national championship appearances. That's a fantastic feat in itself. Then he gets the job as head coach for the Boston Celtics. Makes the big jump over there. Still, young dude in that. Then he decides to take a step back from coaching and enters the front office for the Boston Celtics, essentially taking over for Danny Ainge. And you look at the team this guy has put together, and I was reminded over the weekend the deal he was able to pull off for Kristaps Porzingis. And I'm like, why can't we get that one for like the Bucks? Why can't we get a deal like that for the Bucks? This is what the Celtics, just a little bit of a reminder of what they got. I mean, this past offseason when they got Drew Holiday, I think when the Bucks traded Drew Holiday to Portland, I think a lot of us Bucks fans were just like holding our breath saying, please, for all that is good and gravy in this world, don't let the Celtics somehow acquire Drew Holiday. And nope, they did. But this Porzingis trade, Celtics got him, the number 25 pick in last year's draft, a first-round pick this year. They gave up Marcus Smart, Gallinari, who's spent this like half of the season with the Bucks, Mike Muscala, 35th overall pick in last year's draft. I mean, Brad Stevens has been doing a fantastic job moving into the front office position over there. And I'm just like, why can't the Bucks find deals like this? I mean, that's highway robbery going on over there. But Celtics jumping out to a 2-0 lead, and then the Stanley Cup Finals are going on here too. We got Florida that jumped out to a 1-0 lead, so we'll hit those up a little bit later on here too. So, but hey, let's get things rolling here this morning, shall we? We'll begin things on the leadoff. Talking a little baseball, Brewers bouncing back by from getting swept by the Phillies earlier on last week, taking 2 out of 3 against the Tigers, taking the first 2 games of the series before falling yesterday. Brewers now return home to Milwaukee, where they will take on the Toronto Blue Jays. And we're going to see another new young starting pitcher for the Brewers make his debut tomorrow. We'll probably talk a little bit more about it tomorrow, but we'll give you a little bit of a preview on this. And it's just another youngster, another pitcher who, let's face it, too, because of injuries, has been called upon to make his debut. Obviously, we would love to see a Robert Gasser type of debut, but with all these youngsters getting some experience this year with this team, does it kind of give a glimpse into maybe what Matt Arnold, general manager for the Brewers, could potentially have in his mind of what kind of pitchers he would be targeting by the trade deadline? Maybe a veteran where they don't have a lot of control. It's kind of a rental for just this year. But let's talk some more Brewers coming up here. First off, first break, and we'll get things rolling here this morning, all right? Talk a little baseball. Get your Monday going. Don't forget, though, text me those underrated Packer players of all time. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. You looking for your very own sanctuary, a place that you can just get away from the hustle and bustle of the everyday world, a place of a little peace and quiet? Sounds amazing, right? Well, make that dream a reality with the help from Woods and Water Realty. Just visit woodsandwater.com to view all of your listings, or to view all of their listings, excuse me, of available property for sale. From wooded parcels to build your cabin or permanent campsite to that place on the lake, you're sure to find your new sanctuary with the help from Woods and Water Realty. Start your journey today by visiting woodsandwater.com. Woods and Water Realty, also a partner, sponsor of ours for the Mobile Man Cave. The Mobile Man Cave will be hitting up a little league action tomorrow night, tomorrow evening. Hopefully, the weather will cooperate with us. But big thanks to all of our sponsors and partners for the Mobile Man Cave. That is Woods and Water Realty, also Carpet City Flooring Center, the Elbow Room, and Toyson Ford. All right, let's begin things this morning. By the way, this was before the game yesterday, before the Brewers game yesterday. You want a ridiculous stat. You want a ridiculous number. That kind of just it's another example of how well this player is performing this year. Joey Ortiz, heading into the game yesterday, has tallied more hits than swings and misses heading into that game yesterday. I know he struck out 3 times yesterday, which is thanks Brewers for jinxing that when they posted that out there. But think about that. The dude has tallied more hits than swings and misses so far this season. Joey Ortiz is, I mean, we've talked about him quite a bit this offseason, or excuse me, during this season. But what he is doing in his first full season as a starter, a guy that if we go back to spring training, we weren't, the narrative out there, the collective opinion out there wasn't quite sure would he, open up on the opening day roster. Knew we would see him at some point, but man, this guy has been by far. I mean, we heard about his defense in that trade when he came over with as part of the Corbin Burns package. We heard about the defense and how great his defense is, and all that. But the one thing was is that his offense, needs to get a little bit better, and maybe with more opportunities, it would be able to get a little bit better there. But yeah, he's by far exceeding those expectations. I mean, last year for Baltimore, he only played in 15 games for crying out loud and hit 212. And all he's doing so far this year is hitting 284 with 379 on base, 467 slugging, an OPS of an 846 right now. Guy is batted leadoff, bottom of the order, heck, even in the third spot there too. So, and then you factor in his defensive play, so smooth over there at third base. I mean, Joey Ortiz has been a big boost, a big surprise, I think, this year when you add in the fact that his offense has been way better than I think what we expected heading into this. And I know we talked about it too, but Bryce Terang and his improvements from the offensive side of things this year. Heck, even Christian Yelich is, I think, is it fair to say Christian Yelich is even hitting better than he was last year? Last year kind of that bounce back year, but I mean, now all the guys, he's at a 324 with a 404 on base, 517 slugging, and 921 OPS over there. So, I mean, Blake Perkins, for crying out loud, is even hitting 255 right now. Man, but I saw that stat. I'm like, oh, that's a fantastic number with Joey Ortiz. Just a fantastic number. So, Brewers over the weekend taking 2 out of 3 against the Detroit Tigers. Offense, kind of maybe, after getting shut out, I shouldn't say shut out, but I mean pretty much shut out against the Phillies, non-existent for the most part. Close games. I mean, the pitching put the Brewers in a position to win some of those games against the Phillies. It's just the offense was was shut down for the most part. So what did they do on Friday? Well, they come out and just put a good old 10 burger up there on the board. And the Brewers shutting out the Tigers 10-0. 5 runs in that second inning, 16 total hits. It also helps when Tobias Myers goes out there, pitches 8 incredible innings, giving up just 1 hit, no earned runs, and striking out 5 for his second win of the season. Obviously, with the offense going out there and giving him a bunch of run support, allowed him to kind of stay in that game there too. But he was in another world pitching in that game, easily in his very, very, very young career, his best pitching performance. And he went out there and threw 100 pitches in 8 games. And this is a guy, again, we talked about a little bit earlier, younger pitchers making their debuts, being called up, a lot of it because due to injury for this Brewer staff. And he's been up and down throughout the season, called up, called down, called up, called down. And in his latest start for the Crew, all he did is put together right now his best start of his very young career, going 8 strong innings, the longest a Brewer starter has gone throughout this season. So fantastic game, obviously from the offense with 16 hits and 10 runs, but Tobias Myers to go out there and throw 8 one-hit shutout innings. Just a fantastic performance overall from him. Brewers then following it up on Saturday with a 5-4 victory in a game that Freddie Peralta didn't have his stuff. I mean, it's fair to say Freddie Peralta didn't have his stuff. Brewers got into a hole early. Well, I should say they jumped out to a 1-0 lead right away. But Tigers tied it up at the bottom frame of the first, and then they were able to put up 3 more runs in the second. The Brewers clawed back, putting up 2 more in the top of the third there, and then 2 more in the sixth, and that was enough to get the victory there. But Freddie just going 3 1/3, 3 earned runs on 4 hits. And it was after that, I mean, the bullpen, you got to give the bullpen a lot of credit too. They shut it down. You know, when Freddie Peralta only able to go 3 1/3 in that bullpen, and that's what made that Tobias Myers start the day before even more critical, to go out there 8 innings and not have to use your bullpen, And you have an off day for Freddie Peralta where he's only able to go 3 1/3. Your bullpen was ready to go. They had a nice little off day the day prior, actually a couple days there, because the off day built in before their opener against the Tigers here. So bullpen comes in, locks it down. Kenny, Paredes, Hudson, Payamps, McGill, between 5 relief pitchers finishing off that game. 1 hit, no earned runs. And was it 3, 6, 7, 8 strikeouts? No walks given up by the bullpen either. So in that tight game, in that tight situation, just 1 hit, no walks. Bullpen locked it down and 8 strikeouts. Just a fantastic job by everybody coming in. Koenig actually got credited with the win. That's his 6th win of the season. I mean, you want to talk about another guy who has just been, let's have him start some games and he's only pitching an inning to open up the games, or coming out of the bullpen here and such. I mean, you want to talk about Swiss Army knives and guys that, we talk a lot about it in position players. The more you can do, the better. I mean, you got this kid, Jared Koenig over there. I shouldn't call him a kid. He's 30 years old, but 6-1 and in 21 games appeared so far this year. He started 4 of those as openers, but he's got a 1.84 ERA. I mean, Jared has been he's been having a really darn solid season this year too. But it was a bullpen game in Saturday's game. Freddie Peralta not having his stuff. Offense did just enough to get back into the game, take the lead. And Pat Murphy said, all right, hand it off to the bullpen. You got to close it down for us. And boy, did they ever. Sunday going for the sweep. Bryce Wilson on the mound for the Crew. Didn't have his stuff. Again, another pitcher kind of in back-to-back performances, not really having their stuff. He only went 4 1/3, but it kind of got out of control a little bit earlier. Tigers going up 2-0 in the first. And it was close, but then it was that fifth inning when the Tigers put up eight runs in that inning. Wilson getting charged with 7 earned runs, picking up the loss to after 6 hits there too. So, but after it kind of got out of control there, it was like, all right, could kind of tell it was in the cards at that point in time. So, but nonetheless, they take 2 out of 3. The Crew take 2 out of 3 in this series, and now they get set to welcome the Fighting Dalton Varshows and the Toronto Blue Jays to Milwaukee. Again, a pretty uncommon opponent here coming in. Jose Barrios is going to be the starter for the Blue Jays. And when you look at it, again, he's had a solid season, 5-4 with a 2.80 ERA in 13 games started. He's coming off of a couple of no decisions here, but pitched pretty darn well in those no decisions. His last outing against Baltimore on the 5th, 6 innings, 2 earned runs. Pittsburgh before that, 7 innings, 1 earned run. Heck, even his loss back on the 25th against the Tigers, he went 7 innings, 2 earned runs. His last 3 games, he's been pretty darn good. I mean, you want to expand it a little bit more. Back to the 20th, he went 6 innings, 3 earned runs. 13th of May, Baltimore, 7 innings, 2 earned runs. If it wasn't for that game against Philly to open up the month of May, his ERA would be a whole lot lower, because that game against Philly, he went just 3 2/3 and 8 earned runs. So when you look at his numbers in May, it's like, wow, 4.70 ERA when he, 2 earned runs, 3, 2, 1. It's that 8. You go back to April. I mean, the dude had a 1.19 ERA, for crying out loud. Gave up 1, 0, 0, 0, 2, 2 earned runs. 1 game on his record, on his game log. Kind of inflated a little bit. Otherwise, the dude Jose's been pretty darn solid this year. So it's going to be a tough test for this Brewers offense. And then you got Colin Ray, who's going to get to start for the Crew here. And Colin Ray is one of those guys. I think he's one of those players, for me personally, and maybe for some Brewers fans out there. I'm not quite sure. I don't want to speak for everybody out there, but I just don't know what to expect from Colin Ray every time the guy goes out there on the mound. We've seen the really good. We've seen the poor. We've seen, like, okay. We've seen a lot of those ones out there. And, I mean, you look at his last couple games here, they're not bad lines. Philadelphia on the 4th, 0 earned runs, 4 hits, just 4 innings pitched. Cubbies, he went 5 1/3, 1 earned run. Boston back on the May 25th, 5 2/3, 2 earned runs. For a back-end rotation, starting rotation pitcher, I think a lot of us would take those numbers. But then it's like you go back to, remember, middle of May, that game against Houston, where it just wasn't on. 4 1/3 and 5 earned runs. And before that, he struggled a little bit against Kansas City, 4 earned runs. So he's had those games back in April against the Yankees, but I mean, the Yankees offense there too, it's like, that's a tough lineup to go there. He's an up and down type of pitcher. You don't know what to really expect when he's out there. But as a back-end rotation, and I know he's not technically back-end rotation if you want to go through how it's all lined up, but I mean, for all the injuries right now that the Brewers have suffered with their starting rotation, I mean, trying to figure out your 1 through 5, your top pitchers and such, is kind of a moot point at this point, because they've adjusted it so much, and they've used openers, and they've had to use other guys in there because of injuries and such. So it doesn't really matter at this point. But Colin Ray, to me, is just, I don't know what to expect from him, and I don't know what to expect from him tonight. If he can go out there, give him 6 innings of solid ball. He's not going to strike out a ton of dudes. Then I think you take it. You just hope that the offense is able to give him some early run support and give him enough run support. That's the main thing when Colin Ray's out there on the mound. I mean, he doesn't have the biggest strikeout numbers. It's not bad this year. I think actually they're up a little bit more. But he's not going to get you 11, 12, 13 strikeouts or anything like that. But again, I'll say this. What we were kind of talking a little bit about last week. To me, this month of June is an opportunity for the Brewers to continue to rack up these wins. When you look at it in terms of the schedule and who they're going up against and, you know, quality of teams, however you want to phrase it, you're going to be going up against teams who are hovering around 500, maybe a little under 500. I know Toronto's coming into this one series a game under 500. And they're in an incredibly tough division with the AL East over there. But you look at Toronto, then you got Cincinnati coming in here. The Angels, you should be able to win that series. Then you got 4 games against the Padres over there. Texas, defending champs, still a little bit down at least to begin the season. Then you got the Cubbies to finish off the end of the month back in Milwaukee. This is a chance, continued chance for the Brewers to rack up some more wins and maybe increase this lead in their division a little bit more. Because right now, I mean, when you look at the rest of this division, it kind of seems like some of these teams are just beating up on themselves here a little bit. I mean, you had the Cubs and the Reds in a weekend series. Pittsburgh, I mean, they took 2 out of 3 against the Twinnies this past weekend. I mean, that was a big time series win there. Cubs are now going to be taking on the Rays if you're kind of doing a little bit of scoreboard watching here. And then, when you look at the rest of the schedule for maybe some of the division teams coming up here, who are the Reds taking on here? Reds are going to be going up against. Geez, I got too many windows open right now. Reds are going to be going up against. Load up for me here. Well, regardless, if it wants to work out for me, come on. There we go. Guardians. All right, so that'll be a tough series for the Reds, no doubt about it. Cardinals, Pirates. So beating up on each other there a little bit too, because when you look at standings here in the NL Central, 6.5, 6.5, 6.5, 7. Those are the amount of games these teams are back from the Brewers are sitting in that top spot. Right now, who's the team that you worry most about catching you? Is it still the Cubs? Or is it like, nah, not the Cubs. I'm not too concerned with the Cubs right now. Is it the Reds? Reds were a team that a lot of people picked to make that jump this year, and it's been a little slow. Are you a little concerned that they can make that jump? Possibly. But what do you think? Who's maybe right now the team, if you're a Brewers fan, that you're a little bit worried about maybe catching up to you or maybe being a thorn in your side for the rest of the season? We're about 40% of the way through this season right now. All right, hit me up with some texts. Join in on the convo, 715-830-1912. Big thanks to everybody who's already chimed in on some of the underrated Packer players of all time. So we'll go through those coming up probably in the next hour, but continue to text those on over, all right? Text it or comment on the video stream, whatever works for you. About 10 minutes to the top of the hour. Coming up next hour, we'll do a little local sports roundup. We've got some local teams who will be heading to state soccer. Also, we got state baseball coming up. Congrats again to Fall Creek, your Division 4 state softball champions, as they blanked Cuba City over the weekend, 7-0, to get their Division 4 state championship. Before we finish up this first hour here in studio, joining us here, we got an awesome event coming up on June 21st, Guarding Against Cancer golf outing at Hickory Hills. And our good friend Bob is in studio to talk. Not intern Bob. Not intern Bob here this morning, but Bob Lizanowski. Is that how I pronounce your last name? Lesneski. I was close.
You were great. Good close. Attempt, Daniel. Good attempt. That a boy.
Oh, now you're calling me by my full name. Now it's getting serious.
Just like your mom.
Yeah. So, well, Bob, thanks for stopping in and taking a little bit to talk about your golf outing that's coming up in next weekend already?
Yeah,
next Friday.
We're getting June 21.
Yep.
So again, it's a week from this coming Friday.
Mm-hmm.
This will be our 4th annual Guarding Against Cancer golf outing. We got together with Greg Gard 4 years ago. Basically, again, with my being diagnosed with cancer and then thinking about what I can do to give back. Certainly, I'm not a doctor. So again, in regards to as far as looking at doing anything in regards to helping people or with research, but I love to organize. Been doing that my entire life, my career with the Special Olympics program. And so love the game of golf. I work out at Hickory Hills with the kids program. So we put everything together and we put a golf outing together. And we've been blessed. The response from people. Our golf outing is full. We have 120 individuals that are going to be coming out and participating. But basically, Dan, what we're asking people to do is to come on out Friday, June 21 in the afternoon, stop by and visit our Lemonade Kids.
Right.
These are kids who last year raised over $800 for us. Their aunt has cancer. So again, the kids, in regards to thinking about what they could do, raising some money. So they'll have their lemonade stand at the course. So again, having people come on out, meet the kids, donate in regards to buying some lemonade from the gang, but then also to check out as far as our silent auction items and our raffles. As I mentioned to you, Dan, we've got some great silent auction items. One of them includes a suite at a Packer game.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
And the suite happens to be right on the 50-yard line.
Oh, wow.
So the people have been very kind to us the last few years. And then also with the Badger tickets, Greg has been kind as far as to sending us some Wisconsin swag stuff. So again, we're just having people just come on out, check us out on Friday afternoon, June 21.
So even if, and that's, I think, important to know too, even if you're not golfing, anybody can stop by and put in some bids for silent auctions or check out the Lemonade Kids.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, as I go out and as far as talking to people, cancer is something that kind of affects everybody.
Yeah.
Either you personally, member of your family, or a friend or someone that you know. Cancer in the state of Wisconsin is now the leading cause of death, more than heart issues. So again, it's something that we need to address.
Right.
We need to, as far as support the people who are doing research, getting the cures, the new vaccines, the new treatments that give people with cancer a better quality of life and also their families. So they need support and they need money. And so that's why we're putting on this event and also inviting people to come on out, meet the Lemonade Kids, donate to them, and also check out our silent auction and our raffle.
And I know too, you know, with Guarding Against Cancer, Greg Gard's had his history with family members who have gone through that cancer battle too. And I know that's a fight that's near and dear to his heart.
That is correct. I've had the opportunity to talk to Greg as far as a couple of times. His dad passed away from cancer. His mother had breast cancer last year, and again, because of treatments through research, mom is now cancer-free. So it's a great thing as far as for her and also for the family. Greg, probably next to basketball, certainly, and family. Cancer in regards to as far as something the man has a passion for. In fact, 2 years ago, his foundation was here in Eau Claire, and he gave back $80,000 to 4 local programs here in the city of Eau Claire that provide services for cancer. So again, the foundation gives back.
Right.
And so again, when we got involved, we sat down, we were able to designate that all of our money goes for cancer research. So again, the Carbone Cancer Research and Treatment Center in Madison, they get all of our funds. We've had a great response from people. The last 3 years, we've raised $120,000.
Wow.
So again, looking at if we're going to fight cancer and the battle, we need to continue providing those resources.
And you've got, it just seems like a good connection with you, or almost a perfect connection with you and Greg Gard, because you used to be a basketball official, right? So, I mean, that basketball connection between the two?
Yes, I got to run up and down the basketball court for 30 years. I did officiate small Division One when UW Green Bay went Division One. I got selected as a official from Wisconsin, so I did get to work small D1 for a couple of years. But Ken Van Ness and we ran up and down the high school courts for 30 years together. We were blessed. We got to work 9 state tournaments. We got to work, let's say 6, 7 championship games on Saturday. So yes, the first time that I met Coach Gard, we did have the official discussion, and he said he would still stay associated with me. So having that connection,
right?
Yes,
absolutely.
But also letting people know, Dan, in addition to coming out and meeting our Lemonade Kids, Joe Grybowski is going to also be at our event. Joe is a former Wisconsin lineman, played for the Badgers in 96 to 99. Played for Alvarez and the Rose Bowl team. And Joe would be happy to tell you that he made Ron Dane famous in regards to certainly telling Dane that, you know, he's not winning the Heisman Trophy,
right?
You know, unless Joe's up blocking for him. And he's just a great man. Again, looking at involved with community. So Joe's also going to be at our event. So we have an opportunity to to meet Joe.
Right. Absolutely. All right. We only got a few seconds left here. So again, some final thoughts. June 21st, which is next Friday.
Correct.
Hickory Hills. When does everything kind of start on next Friday?
Basically, we're asking people to, start to come out anytime Friday afternoon.
Okay.
So bang,
perfect.
get out there, and we love to see everybody. And hey, let's raise some money so we can beat cancer.
Absolutely. I think you said it perfectly too. I think a lot of us have been affected by it some way. And you're doing well? Are you doing okay?
Am I doing well? I'm certainly, I am blessed.
Mhm.
So in regards to, I have a tumor that I am dealing with. The tumor's not growing. Medications are keeping it under control. I do have a few bad side effect days, but you just live through it and carry on with life.
Well,
So yeah, thanks for asking.
yeah, keep fighting a good fight, sir. All right.
We will do that.
Awesome. We'll see you next Friday, okay, Bob?
A week from Friday.
Next Friday. Yep. Yeah, a week from Friday. So, appreciate you stopping by, and we'll catch up with you again soon, okay?
And take care of yourself. Stay healthy, Daniel.
Absolutely. All right, we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be back with more in the second hour after these quick words. Second hour kicking off right now on this Monday morning of June 11th. Big thanks for making us a part of your day and brand new work week here. What do we got coming up this hour? I'm still taking some word picks. I like the names we're coming through for some. So, in case you missed it, rewind it here for a second before I get too far ahead of myself. Last week you heard us. We're coming up with some. How do I want to say this? It's not really segments, but not really segments. So some ideas, some topic ideas for the summer, because we know sometimes summer might get a little, dog days of summer and such, and got to change it up here a little bit. So we're gonna have a little fun this summer here and have some debatable topics, all in good fun. But one of them is we're gonna try to figure out via you, the listeners. Okay, you, the listeners, are gonna vote on this when we get it all set and done. But one of them that we're doing is the most underrated Wisconsin sports player of all time. And a ton of you, a lot of you right now have sent in your nominations, which big thanks for that. Number one, huge thanks, because we can't do it unless you don't participate. So big thanks for everybody who sent those on over. But today, I'd like to finalize, should we call it the green and gold region here? So I'm looking for your picks for the most underrated Packer player of all time. And you don't have to just pick one. Give me some, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the top vote getters. If we get enough, we're going to go all the way up to 16. If we get enough, we're going to put those in that region there. So, and as I said a little bit earlier, and if you heard it before, I apologize if I'm saying it again. Try to avoid a player like a Sterling Sharp. We know he may be underrated from a national perspective. I think all of us Packers fans, majority of Packers fans, think that he should be in the Hall of Fame and all that. But the reason I say kind of ignore, or I shouldn't say ignore, because that's a little rough there. But Sterling Sharp, he's got some All Pros, he's got some Pro Bowls that are. We're kind of looking for maybe the guy that should have gotten some Pro Bowls, or should have gotten some more Pro Bowls, or maybe was taken for granted a little bit. From a national perspective, yeah, Sterling Sharp was, but we're looking at it from just our state's perspective here. So hit me up with some texts with you, who you got, because I would like to, before we shut the mics off by 9 a.m., kind of have our region finalized here for the pack. So I've got kind of a count up. I'm keeping track, and we'll see how it all plays out here and who gets the most. But the top six, and I'm not necessarily going to seed them. I'm just going to randomly put them on there. Thank goodness for computer technology to do that and such. But I'm still looking for some more picks. So a couple of them, we've got some repicks, which is perfectly fine. We got Frank Winters. Living a Dream Jeff. Jeff, a lot of video stream comments from Living a Dream Jeff. Are you off the road now, Jeff? Or what's it's been a hot minute since I think I've seen you on the texting line there. So I gotta know, Living a Dream Jeff chiming in on the video stream there. Lynn Dickey, Chuck Cecil, Mark Lee, Tim Harris, Jim Carter, some picks over there. Surveyors, got James Jones, Al Harris, Ryan Grant, Colin Jenkins, another Frank Winters pick as well. So keep those coming. We've got Amon Green, Paul Kaufman. Keep them coming. All right, keep them on coming. Again, trying to find those dudes that maybe only have one Pro Bowl, maybe no All Pros, but dang, and like when we say that name, you're like, holy crap, yeah, that guy was pretty darn good. That guy was really good. Kind of forgot about him. A little underrated. That's the type of players we're looking for our bracket challenge over here. All right. So keep them coming. Keep them on coming. I was looking at like this day in history. I usually do that every morning just to see if there's a big time anniversary or anything like that. And I was looking at a couple of them here, and Babe Ruth showed up a couple times here. 1921, Babe Ruth became, get this, Babe Ruth in 1921 became baseball's all-time home run leader with 120. 120. Dudes get that now in like 2 years, 2 or 3 seasons. But then it was, 2005 Babe Ruth's 1919 contract that moved him from Boston to the Yankees, sold at auction for a cool $996,000. So, Babe Ruth's on here. Pele is on here too. 1975 signed a 3-year contract with the U.S.-based Cosmos. There was a couple other ones. Wayne Gretzky won another MVP for like the 500th time and such. But it got me thinking. Babe Ruth on there too. Who is a player? And part of it too is because I'm working on that documentary podcast about Cub Buck, who is a Eau Claire native, born and raised, played high school ball in Eau Claire, was the Packers' really first big free agent signing. Actually, if you go to the Packers Hall of Fame, there's a big picture of him up in the Packers Hall of Fame. Okay, if you haven't been there, you go there. He's and it says, and a buddy of mine who's over there sent me this picture from the Hall of Fame just last week, who works over there. And its picture says tackle Cub Buck, Packers' first big signing, 1921. Played for the Badgers. Okay, ended up being the first ever head coach at the Miami Hurricanes. Yet you don't hear a lot about him here in the Chippewa Valley or the Eau Claire area. So that's why I'm working on this thing. But the other part of it is that I'm doing an interview later on today. As part of that, with an NFL films historian who's done some research a little bit on him and that. But it's like you go back to these players or maybe these teams that you wish you could hop into a DeLorean and a time machine and maybe wish you could have watched like one game of. Like if you could just go in and go to that stadium back in 1921 or something like that and watch that player. Who would it be? Who would that player be? Like, would it be Babe Ruth? Would it be a guy like Babe Ruth? Would it be, somebody else? So if you had to go back, let's say 80 to 100 years outside of your lifespan. So somebody that played before you were born. Let's put it that way. Somebody who had played before you were born. Who would that person be? Or maybe a team. Maybe it's a team. Who would that be that you would love to just, man, that'd have been so cool to go out there and watch. Like, I think it would have been cool to see Babe Ruth play in person. I would have. The other part of that too, though, wasn't not only just to see Babe Ruth play in person, but just to kind of see what was like the crowd reaction to every time he stepped up to the plate, to every time he hit a home run. Because like in today's game, I mean, if you go to a Packer game in Lambeau Field and, whether it was Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre or now it's Jordan Love, when they get introduced in the starting lineups, they get the loudest ovations. Certain player makes play, you get the loud ovations and such. What was the crowd reaction like to when Babe Ruth stepped up to the plate or, somebody else of that magnitude? Lou Gehrig, what was that reaction like? Like I would love to, man, go back and obviously one of them would have been Don Hudson, but football back then. First of all, I would have loved to have seen just going into these small stadiums and wooden bleachers and that. Yeah, you see these photos of these football games and where they're played compared to baseball stadiums. Like, man, wow, what a difference. But nonetheless, Babe would definitely be up there for me. Definitely be up there for me. So, who are some of the old players, real teams from back in the day that maybe were around before you were born that you would absolutely love to go back and maybe catch an inning, maybe catch a quick game of? I always like thinking about that, man. That would have been so cool. So if you got any, let me know. But yeah, Babe and like Lou Gehrig were always towards the top of my I would have loved to have seen like 20s baseball like that 19 was it the 27 Yankees and such. Oh, would love to have seen that. So, but keep those coming. Hey, okay, I thought we had some breaking news there, but no, it's decision day for Dan Hurley, whether he's going to take the Lakers job or stay at UConn. What do you think he does? Anybody want to do some picks on this one? Anybody want to do some bets? What do you think? Let's do a little poll. Do you think he stays at UConn or does he take that Lakers job? What would you do if you were in his position, his exact position, coming off of back-to-back national championships? You've got a top five team heading into the season. Could you go back to back to back, or do you try your hand at the pro ball, at the pro level, knowing that, hey, you know what? If it doesn't work out, or if I don't like it, yeah, I'm pretty sure I can go back to the college game and find myself a good job. What would you do if you were in Dan Hurley's position right now? Would you try to get out of the college game because you're just sick and tired of how the game's being, played and that sort of thing, like NIL and transfer portals and that? You're like, huh, I'd rather have the NBA drama than the college drama right now. What do you think? All right, let's take a quick break here. We'll have some more. We'll get back to some more Brewers talk coming up here in a little bit too. Brewers getting set to take on the Toronto Blue Jays. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Father's Day coming up this Sunday. Still looking for that perfect gift for Dad? Well, maybe Dad needs that new deer hunting rifle or that new turkey shotgun. If that's the case, go on in and visit our good friends at Tilden Gun. You can also check out tildengun.com, the biggest selection, widest selection, best prices in the Chippewa Valley. All right, that's where I go. That's where I've gotten my turkey shotguns, where I've gotten my deer rifles, where Hudson's gotten his BB gun and such. Yeah, it's super easy to go order online too. Order online, they ship it over to Tilden Gun and that, so it's that easy. Otherwise, if there's something in particular that you're looking for, maybe you just need a little help. Fantastic customer service with Sean and Hunter over at Tilden Gun. So check them out today if you're still looking for that Father's Day gift item for Dad for that favorite dad in your life. Whether there's a dad, uncle, grandpa, father figure, brother, husband, whatever the case may be. I like Dave with the pick. Robert Brooks, unsung Packer players. Robert Brooks and fearless 7-yard slant that Favre would put him into, knowing he would get hit hard. I like the Robert Brooks pick. Robert Brooks was my very first Packer jersey, very first Packer jersey out there. I still remember getting it. It was on a clearance rack at Shields when I was a youngster. I don't know if that's when Brooks left or cut or what it was, but then I think later on that day was at Shopko and got the Packer turtleneck, because in the 90s you had to wear a turtleneck and then a jersey over it because that was the style. Still have that Packer turtleneck, and I wear it. I don't know why it still fits me. I have no idea why it still fits me, considering I think I got it in elementary school, but I wear it every hunting season. And there's a little, don't look at me like that, kid. Giving me a weird look over there, Hutsy, with that. So still fits, and I don't know why, but it's one of those traditions, one of those weird traditions I have when it comes to hunting season. I put on that Packers turtleneck that I got when I was like, gosh, it had to have been 4th grade or 5th grade, somewhere 3rd, 4th, or 5th grade. I don't know why that thing still fits, but it does. So, anyways, coming up, we'll get back to some more Brewers talk here. With the Brewers getting set to take on the Toronto Blue Jays for a 3-game series in Milwaukee. No JC in the EC, just as Cleveland for us here this morning. So we'll do a quick local sports roundup here, brought to you by Amundsen's Appliance Center, as we are starting to wrap up the high school prep sports season, as we've noted a couple times right now. But we had state softball this past weekend, and shout out to Fall Creek, your Division 4 champions, as they took down Cuba City in the championship game 7-0. So congratulations to the Fall Creek Crickets, your Division 4 state softball champions. Also, this past weekend, we found out the soccer teams, the girls' soccer teams, who will be heading to state, and the Chippewa Valley, or at least in this area, well represented with a few teams over there. In Division 2, River Falls is going to state. Also, the seedings did come out, and they are a 4 seed. In Division 3, Rice Lake, no stranger to state soccer. They're back at it. They are also a 4 seed. And Regis McDonald in Division 4, they're heading to states. They are also a 4 seed. So that's coming up this weekend. We got state baseball quarterfinals in Division 1 are beginning later this morning. It looks like. So got for Division 1 quarterfinals, and then looking at the rest of the schedule, we got Division 3, who's going to be in action tomorrow. Cumberland, number 4 seed, taking on Aquinas as that 1 seed there, and then Oliva Strum also going to be in action starting tomorrow in Division 4. They are the 1 seed. They're going to be taking on Pacelli. So we'll be paying attention, obviously, to the high school baseball state tournament as things officially kind of get started shouldn't say officially, kind of. That doesn't make any sense. Officially get underway starting later on this morning. Got some Division One action. It looks like the first game is going to be Arrowhead versus Westosha Central in a 4-5 matchup. Then game 2 after that will be the top-seeded De Pere versus Menasha. And then later on, I should note, too, because Hudson's in action, Sun Prairie East, game 3 versus Hudson. That'll be at 2:30 today. Oak Creek versus Nicolay over there, too. That's all the games in action today. So best of luck. I know we got a couple of local teams for state baseball who are also going to be in action this week. So then the championship games look like they will be on Thursday. Eau Claire Express picking up a couple wins over the weekend here too. They in a 2-game series against the Stingers of Wilmer Stingers. They were able to win both those games against the Waterloo Bucks yesterday, falling just a bit short. So the Eau Claire Express now, when you're looking at their upcoming schedule here, they're going to be taking on Waterloo again tonight at Carson Park. So you want to check out some baseball action. You can head on over to Carson Park and check that out. And then the Express will be hitting the road for a quick trip down 29, I should say over on 29, because they're going to be visiting the Wausau Woodchucks on Tuesday. And then the Wausau Woodchucks will be coming over to Carson Park for Wednesday night. So that'll be a kind of a throwback for me, because growing up in good old Medford, the closest team we had was, well, the Woodchucks. I think at that time was the Wisconsin Woodchucks. Went to some games over there too, so it'll be cool to see the Express taking on the Woodchucks. Little flashback to young Dan over there too. But right now, when you look at kind of the standings in the early couple weeks here of the Northwoods League in our division, the division that the Express are in, Great Plains East, Thunder Bay is off to a really fast start. They're 10-3 so far this season. Then you got the La Crosse Loggers, who are in second place, 2 games behind Thunder Bay. They're at 8-5. And then you got Duluth and Eau Claire, 7-6. Both those teams 3 games behind Thunder Bay for first place in the division. Waterloo, though, right behind them at 5-6. You got the Minnesota Mud Puppies, who are 1-5, and the Rochester Honkers, who are 2-11 overall. Kind of taking a look at Wausau Woodchucks. That's going to be a battle too, because Wausau right now is leading the Great Lakes West division, sitting there with a 10-3 record. So those are just a little bit of your local sports roundup, brought to you by Amundson's Appliance Center. Got another pick here for underrated Packer players, as we hopefully will get that region finalized today. Keep these coming. A lot of good names here. Got another one, Ken Rutgers, as the texter says here. Ken Rutgers anchored the left side for a long time. I think C-Bomb a little bit earlier said Sam Shields over there too. So keep them coming again. We're looking for maybe some players who maybe have a Pro Bowl, maybe a couple Pro Bowls, not really any All-Pros attached. We're looking for really the main underrated, players, non-Hall of Famers on this list, at least for the Packers. I don't want to say overall when we do other regions, because that might get a little dicey, especially when you talk about maybe Olympians and such. But keep these coming, all right? A lot of good names here. I'm hoping to finalize this region, and we can start maybe some of the banter and debate and some of the voting when it comes to the green and gold over there. So no wrong answers on this. I've got a tally going. Kind of probably first off, we're probably going to go, it's going to be finalized, I think, with whoever gets the most votes on there. We're not going to seed them or anything like that, but then I might just have to use my judgments to fill out the rest here, unless we get a clear majority for 16. Love to get 16 in each region, but we'll see if that plays out. So keep them coming though. All right. Yeah, James Campman, that's a good one. Bryce Pop, okay. All right. Well, we got that one over there too. Man, I think I have some I think I used to have a boatload of Bryce Pop cards back in the day as a kid. I probably still have them because I never got rid of any of those. Who else would we throw out there? I'll tell you one name I'd like to throw into the conversation that nobody's probably going to know. I'm going to throw in Brian Williams. He was a linebacker on the Super Bowl 31 team. I probably have a little bit of a soft spot in my heart for Brian Williams because, one, he was my first Packers autograph of all time. It was back in the day when those Packers, when the Packers would go around the state and play basketball games against like the police departments or something like that. And they came to Medford for a couple years, but the first year I went, Brian Williams was the main draw. And we had to line up. We didn't know, but like it was at halftime, and you had to line up at a table and get like one autograph. And we didn't know who it was, and I got lucky because it was Brian Williams. It was either Brian Williams or Lamont Hollenquist. Remember Lamont Hollenquist back in the day? But so I had a soft spot for Brian Williams, but I also remember one time when I was a kid and I subscribed to the good old Packer Report, and on the cover it had Brian Williams, and they made the case why he should be a Pro Bowl linebacker. And for a couple of years there, 96, his second year in the league, 83 tackles, followed up with 100 tackles. Next, 108 tackles. Had a pick in the in the Super Bowl there too. So I want to throw Brian Williams, number 51. I want to throw his hat into the ring. I think he was a little underrated. He didn't get nearly enough of the credit. I mean, he played on some really great defenses with those Packers teams. Obviously, you had Reggie on there. Leroy Butler was on there. I mean, that front with Gilbert Brown and Dotson and Sean Jones. I mean, linebackers, even to this day, I think if you ask a lot of people or Packers fans about those teams, you're probably going to think of George Kuntz. You're probably going to think of Wayne Simmons. Brian Williams, for whatever reason, kind of gets left in the dust. I'm putting Brian Williams. I will argue for Brian Williams for him being a little underrated during those years for Green Bay when he was over there. Number 51. I can still play the radio call in my head when Brian Williams got that pick. So, I will bang the table for number 51, Brian Williams over there. Keep them coming. Got Donnie Anderson throwing it way back over there. Another pick for Chuck Cecil. We've had that one thrown out there too. So keep them coming. No wrong answers for this one. Let's take a quick break, and we'll keep more picks coming here. We'll talk some more baseball with the Brewers coming up here too. Brewers fans, let me throw this out there. It might be a little early. We're about 40% of the way through the season. But when you look at the division right now, and the Brewers sitting there 6.5 up on the nearest competition, I mean, they're up 6.5 over the Cubs, the Reds, and the Cardinals. They're up 7 over the Pirates. It's kind of like a race for second right now in that Central. But if there was one team that was going to get hot, that you'd be a little concerned about getting hot and maybe catching up to the Brewers at this point in time, who is that team? Is it still the Cubs? Is it the Reds, who a lot of people thought would take that next step this year? Got off to a little bit of a slow start. But if they get hot, are they the team that you're maybe a little bit more worried about? And I would love to hear from Cubs fans this morning. What are your thoughts on Craig Counsell right now? Because, and maybe this is just the loud majority, but it got pretty loud over the weekend on social media, on the X/Twitter, Facebook, and that, with Cubs fans venting about Craig Counsell. Now, it's an easy target, I get. It's easy to point the finger at him because, one, you bring him in as you fire a favorite former player, Rossi and that. You bring in Craig Counsell to replace him while he was still on staff. He comes in, you're paying him a boatload of cash, highest paid manager. So it's high expectations, rightfully so. But if you are a Cubs fan, talking only to Cubs fans right now, because I know we got a few of you that listen, what are your thoughts on Counsell's performance thus far? Or do you blame more of the front office because maybe they didn't spend and get all these free agents like maybe you kind of thought? So I want to hear from you. Okay. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back to finish up the second hour after these quick words. Speaking of Mike's Star Market over there, we fired up the grill last night for a little dinner. Had the amazing, amazing, amazing Bloody Mary brats over there. Oh my gosh, if you haven't tried them, you are seriously missing out. Also, my wife's favorite, the dill pickle with cheddar and bacon. It was a feast last night. If you go over to Mike's, and maybe that's if you're looking maybe for some dinner plans for the weekend for Sunday for Father's Day, how about grilling out for Dad and grabbing some brats from our good friends over at Mike's Star Market, big time supporters for Backyard Dreams over there too. So, otherwise, check out some of the candy, the freeze dried candy over there. A lot of different selections. Sarah does a fantastic job with that over there too. So go stop by our good friends at Mike's Star Market on the west side of Eau Claire, or if they have any in there, try the Bloody Mary beef strips too. Those are my go-to whenever they've got. Save some for me though, because they go quick. But if you haven't tried those are amazing too at Mike's. Man, they're so good, so good. More picks here. I love this. See, this is what I'm talking about. Coming out with names here that like, oh yeah, forgot about that. Got Brockington, Nick Collins. Nick Collins is definitely one of those players that is a big what if. Like, if that dude doesn't get hurt and he doesn't have that career-ending neck injury, you're probably talking about. I mean, he was on the path to potentially being a Hall of Famer. So, but Nick Collins, he's been picked a couple times, I believe. Over there, George Kuntz. Don't have a name for the texter, but if you got a name, hit me up with your name so I can give you some credit here. Also, I would like to have seen Earl Campbell or Hank Aaron play in person. That's a good one too. I know I would have loved to have seen Bart Starr play in person too. I've gotten to meet him, but I never obviously got to see him play in person. I'm trying to think of some other ones off the top of my head here. Smuck, if you still want to be called Smuck. But I think this is a fantastic pick. Smuck texted in, hey DK, has Tremont been brought up? Tremont has not been brought up that I've seen. Maybe I missed it. I potentially could have missed it. But that is a fantastic pick. That's what we're talking about here. Tremont Williams has one Pro Bowl to his resume. That's it. One Pro Bowl. Because I had to look it up. I had to double check it. I'm like, okay, he's got to have had at least a few Pro Bowls on there. One, 2010, Super Bowl year. Tremont Williams is a fantastic pick, and Smuck, that might be one of my favorite ones, if not the favorite thus far. That, to me, is a perfect definition. He's like a poster person for what we're talking about here about being underrated. One Pro Bowl and just was, I mean, for the longest time, the number one corner on that group, or paired up with Woodson, or, 07 was his rookie year, played in 16 games, but he was, kind of the nickel or the dime back behind Al Harris and Charles Woodson, waited his turn, then kicked it into gear. A couple years later, I mean, I'm looking at his Pro Football Reference thing here. From 07, his rookie year, 16 games played, 16 games played, 16 games played, 16 games played, 15 games played, 16 games played, 16 games played, 16 games played. That was his first run as the Packers. So he missed. Obviously, he didn't start at all those games, especially in the first 2 years or first couple years of his career. But from 07 to 2014, Tremont Williams missed one game playing corner. That is an absolutely mind-boggling thing for me to comprehend. And then he comes back to Green Bay in 18 and plays 16 games. 2019, 16 games. That's a top one for me. I love that pick. Thank you, Smuck, for texting that one in. And if anybody Maybe somebody put it up on our Facebook page and I might have missed it, and I apologize for that. But Tremont might be one of my favorite ones, maybe the favorite one over there. That's what we're talking about. That dude's only got one Pro Bowl to his resume. 34 career interceptions. 34 career interceptions, too. Tremont Williams. I love that pick. Nice pick. Nice pick. What else do we got out there? Hit me up with some more names, nominations out there. That's a good way. If we were seeding him, he might be number one. He might be a number one seed. Just saying that might be a one over there. So, all right. What else? Oh, we got a couple more rolling through here. Morgan Burnett is a pick. Interesting pick there. Never would have thought Morgan, but hey, that's why we're throwing these out there. Tauscher's a pick. Bulaga is a pick. Going a little bit more recency here with nothing wrong with that. Over there, we had a William Henderson pick a little bit earlier too. Let me bring up some of the names. So we're going to be doing. I mean, this isn't just Packers today. We're doing just Packers, but we're ultimately going to be trying to find out who the Wisconsin most underrated Wisconsin athlete of all time is. So let me bring up some of the other ones that we posted up on Facebook the other day, like. Okay, Chad Clifton was on there. Mason Crosby was listed on there. Let's go. We got Keith Jackson, George Kuntz, Mike Pryor, Antonio Freeman, Bill Schroeder, Travis Jervey. I think this person's just listing everybody from the 96 Super Bowl team, Super Bowl 31 over there. Dorsey, Henderson, Robert Ferguson. Interesting name. Now, for me, maybe Robert Ferguson, I don't know. I mean, there was some higher expectations on him when he was first drafted because I think he was a second-round pick. Correct me if I'm... Yeah, second-round pick, 41st overall. And the most receiving yards he had in his career was 520 in his third year in Green Bay. So I think he might have not lived up to it a little bit. But, yeah, we'll see. Another Frank Winters, Tauscher, A.J. Hawk, Craig Newsome. Wonder if that's my old college roommate making that pick over there. He was a big time Craig Newsome fan too. So, Aaron Campman on Facebook was a name on there too. So, all right, we got a list. I think we're going to be able to get our 16 over there. I think we're going to be able to get our 16. Tim Harris is probably one of the more popular picks out there too. So I think Tim Harris is probably a safe bet to be put on there. So he's probably solidified on there. All right, coming up next hour. Don't forget, it's also the weekend hangover. What is the best? What is the worst? What is the highs? What are the lows from this previous weekend? Make your picks. It can be from a personal side. Maybe you had a good weekend out on the water or at a ball tournament or your kiddos had a good one. Let us know. Hit us up with those texts. Or maybe it was just your opinion on the sports world. What was the high? Maybe it was Scotty Scheffler picking up a win at the Memorial over the weekend. Or maybe it was the AmFam Championship at University Ridge. Steve Stricker in contention, had to go to a playoff against Ernie Els and falls in the playoff to Ernie Els. That par putt there lips out. Painful way to lose it, but maybe it was great golf down in Madison for the AmFam Championship at University Ridge. Was that your high? What were the lows? What was the downers? What was the negatives? All right. Hit me up with those texts on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line at 715-830-1912. Coming up next hour, we'll get back to some more Brewers chat here too as they welcome the Fighting Dalton Varshows and the Toronto Blue Jays to Milwaukee. MLB.com's latest power rankings. They've got the Phillies still at number 1, the Yankees still at number 2, the Dodgers moving up to number 3, Orioles moving up to number 4, Guardians dropping from 3 to 5, Brewers staying at number 6. And this is an interesting little write-up here. I have not yet read it, but it's from Adam McCulvey at MLB.com. But this was MLB.com's write-up about the Brewers here. Want a connection between these Brewers and the old Harvey's Wallbanger teams of the 80s? How about crossword puzzles, as detailed in a fun piece by MLB.com's Adam McCulvey, Brewers Director of Clubhouse Operations. The Brewers Director of Clubhouse Operations has been printing crosswords from the newspaper since he was a bat boy for the team in the late 70s and putting them on the chairs of Brewers players, from Ben Ogilvy to Jake Bauers. It has become a thing for the first place Brewers this year in particular. Bauers saying, I think it wakes you up a bit. I'm not going to sit here on Instagram all afternoon and scroll my phone. I'd rather do this. As the writer says, from your lips to God's ears, Jake. So Brewers at number 6 in the latest power rankings, which by my math would tell me they are the third highest ranked National League team. You got the Phillies, you got the Dodgers. Yeah, so the Brewers, the third highest ranked National League team on there. Next closest one would be the Braves, who are currently at number 8. Twins coming in at number 10. Says here, coming into Sunday, the Twins had lost 5 in a row and hadn't scored in 22 consecutive innings. They wasted no time scoring 3 runs off the Pirates' other phenom, Jared Jones, en route to an extra inning victory to avoid a sweep. Again, the problem with the Twins, such as it is that the AL Central is no longer a place where you can bob up and down around 3 games over 500 and think you can win the division. They're now a full 8.5 games behind the Guardians and 4.5 games behind the Royals. This would be a great week to make up those 5 losses in a row. They have 10 straight home games against losing teams, the Rockies, the A's, and the Rays. Think about that. You've got the Twins, power rankings, number 10, a top 10 team. They're 8.5 games, though, behind the top team in their division. The Guardians, with their fantastic start to their season. And then you got the Royals, who are playing incredibly well. A Twins team who, from MLB.com, is the 10th best team in the majors. But they're third in their division, 8.5 back from the Guardians. This AL Central, I think, has completely caught off a lot of people, caught them off guard this year for how well they have been playing. It starts with the Guardians surpassing so many expectations this year. Stephen Vogt, to me, is probably right now your leader for AL Manager of the Year in his first year as a manager. And then you got the Royals, who I think are surpassing some expectations over there too. So AL Central turning into be, the White Sox are just a dumpster fire over there, and they're just the bottom feeders over there. But top 3 right now, that's a fun division to kind of watch now. All right, shot clock's going to cut me off here in about 30 seconds, so we'll kick off the next hour with some more of your text picks as we start to finalize our number 1 region, our first region for the most underrated Wisconsin sports athlete of all time. We're trying to finalize this Packers one. And Packers one, they get their own region because, well, that's the easiest one to fill. In fact, there's probably going to be players left off the region that some of you are going to be upset that we left off. That's why I'm leaving it up to the listeners. So if you got anybody to be upset about, be upset with the listeners. And I am completely pushing off the blame and all that. But keep those picks coming. All right, no wrong answers on this. 2 in. We got 1 more hour to go. We'll be back after these news updates. Final hour kicking off on this Monday morning. Hopefully you're all off to a fantastic first day of the work week. Hopefully you all had a fantastic weekend too. What were the highs? What were the lows from your weekend? Make sure you hit us up with those picks via the Shoe Doctors Bullpen texting line at 715-830-1912. All right. Coming up, we'll chat a little bit more Brewers. Get back to some Brewers talk here in just a skosh. We had the NBA Finals Game 2 last night. The Celtics picking up the victory. They now hold a 2-0 lead in the series, as the series will now go to Dallas there. Meanwhile, the Stanley Cup Finals also began over the weekend. Game 2 is tonight. Florida taking Game 1 in that series, 3-0. So Florida is also going to try to go up 2-0. Edmonton going to try to even up this series at 1 apiece tonight. We'll make that pick coming up a little bit later on, towards the back end of the hour, for our picks and predicts, brought to you by the Elbow Room. So, what else we got? Keep your picks coming too. Yes, we had a texter's head asking, has Aaron Campman been mentioned? Aaron Campman has been mentioned. He was actually mentioned not that long ago either. I think right a few minutes before the top of the hour. Wade is saying Larry McCarron. Chester Markle, only because of his touchdown run against the Bears on a blocked field goal attempt to win the game. Yeah, a lot of other repeats out there too. So I think at this point now, I'll throw out some names who maybe we haven't mentioned a lot or hasn't been mentioned at all. So keep them coming. Keep them coming. I think we're going to be in good shape to have our Packers Brett region. I think we could do a Wisconsin Badger one if we combine all the sports. If we do football, basketball, any hockey, do any sport, Wisconsin Badger sport. I think we could do a Badger region. And then I think we got enough to do a Brewers region. Don't know if we'd have enough to do a Bucks one, so that one might have to be the open one, where it's like Bucks, maybe you throw in some NASCAR drivers or golfers. Do you throw Steve Stricker into that equation? Even though he didn't play college at Wisconsin, but still, I think the Bucks one would maybe have to go into to an open region. I think we could do for sure Packers. We can do a Brewer, we can do a Badger, and then maybe an open division over there. So voting will be done online too, so make sure you're following along on Facebook when we put up the votes over there, okay? Make sure you're following along. Make sure you hit that follow and like button on the Facebook page. Dan Kasper, DANKASPR, or Facebook.com/Kasper Sports, and the Sports Talk 105.1 page over there too. But then also asking, because once in a while I'll peruse the this day in history, this day in sports history and such. And there was a couple Babe Ruth ones out there. And it was this day in 1921, he became baseball's all-time home run leader with 120, a whopping 120. Guys can do that now in like 2-3 years. But kind of develop into a topic, a conversation amongst some of us, me and those of you who are texting. Like, if you could go back and watch a athlete that played before you were born. So you don't have any, you weren't alive when they played. Who would that be? Like Babe Ruth would be up there for me. Lou Gehrig would be up there for me. I probably want to see Ty Cobb. There's a lot of baseball ones that I'd throw in there. Don Hudson would be one. So we've had a few picks over there. Keep those coming too. All right, keep them coming. Let's do the weekend hangover. What was the highs? What were the lows? What were some of the best? What was some of the worst over the weekend? As we've mentioned a few times here, we had a texter say, best of the weekend, Fall Creek winning first ever state title for softball. Yep. We mentioned that a few times here this morning. So my best from the week. I gotta go with Tobias Myers from the Brewers. I mean, going in there with 8 innings, shutout innings, 1 hit. His performance on Friday was absolutely, absolutely fantastic. So I got to throw Tobias Myers in there. I think you throw Scotty Scheffler in there. This dude, I mean, what a run he is on, and what year it's been, or I should say, the last couple months here for Scotty Scheffler here. But another tournament win, the Memorial, got her done over there at Jack's tournament. So it's been quite the whirlwind golf season here for Scheffler, both on and off the course, if you will. But man, this dude is just so dominant right now. So dominant. And we've got the U.S. Open coming up this weekend. And I know he's going to be the favorite. I mean, he is the favorite. And he's at that point now, too. It's like, at what point do you start to say, all right, it's Scotty Scheffler of the field? Kind of like when Tiger was at his peak. It was Tiger of the field. Who are you taking? Right now, Scotty Scheffler. I was looking at the odds a little bit earlier from CBS Sports, from a CBS Sports article. He's 4-1. Rory is second at 9-1. Xander Schauffele 10-1. Brooks is at 12-1. John Rahm also at a 12-1. Anybody wondering about Tiger's odds? Tiger Woods is a 125-1. 125-1. Just looking at some other notables on there. I think Phil was 150-1. My memory serves. Yeah, 150-1 for Phil. So Sergio is also at a 125-1. Same as Tiger over there. My worst from the weekend, or the low from the weekend here. I mean, if I stay with the Brewers thing, I'm probably going to go with Wilson and his pitching performance yesterday. I mean, every pitcher's going to have that. You're going to have a little bit of a down type of game there, but I'll probably picking that one. Pick that one. So that's my highs and that's my lows from the weekend here. You can make your picks for the final 45 minutes that we have left in the program here. All right, Brewers back at it tonight, taking on the Toronto Blue Jays. Brewers bouncing back nicely after getting swept by the Phillies the series prior. Coming back and taking 2 out of 3 against the Tigers. Their only loss coming yesterday in a 10-2 loss against the Tigers. Inconsistency for Bryce Wilson. He was solid for a couple innings there, but that first and the fifth inning there is what it was a real big time struggle for Bryce Wilson. And otherwise, he's been a solid season thus far. Brewers 6.5 up on both the Cubs, the Reds, and the Cardinals. 7 up on last place Pittsburgh right now. If there was a team, Brewers fans, that maybe get you a little bit nervous about, hey, if they get on a streak or if they get hot, that's the team I'm worried about. Or who do you think is the team that is most likely to catch up to the Brewers in the division? Is it the Cubs? Or do you think the Reds, a team that a lot of people thought, could they take that step this year? Could they be that playoff team? Could they win the division this year? Or is it the Reds that finally, after a slow start, maybe things start to kick into gear here a little bit? And that's the team that you think will have the best shot at catching up to the Brewers right now. I mean, if you want to look at the schedule for both these teams, and Cubs and Reds played against each other this past weekend here. And it was a series all weekend long, too, where at least I saw it on social media quite a bit. A lot of Cubs fans venting frustrations towards Craig Counsell. But and if you're a Cubs fan, I'd love to hear from you. Hit me up with a message on what your thoughts are on how the Craig Counsell era is working out right now. But if we look at the upcoming games here for the Reds. So they got 2 games against the Guardians. Off day today for the Reds, but then they got a 2-game series against the Guardians, and then weekend series in Milwaukee. So I mean, this week's going to be a little tough here for the Reds. But then it kind of opens up. You've got Pittsburgh, you got Boston, you got Pittsburgh again, and then 4 games at the Cardinals to finish off the month. And then you open up though July visiting the Yankees. But then you got the Tigers, the Rockies, and the Marlins before the All-Star break. Cubs, meanwhile, they've got a series now, no game today, but they're on the road against Tampa. But then they're at home here for quite a bit at Wrigley. 3 games against the Cardinals, 3 games against the Giants, 3 games against the Mets. Then they're on the road for 4 games against the Giants, and they come back for a weekend series against the Brewers. Then they go into July, though, with a 3-game series against the Phillies. Angels there, Orioles after that. This one's tough. I mean, I think the easy answer is probably the Cubs. Probably the Cubs. That's maybe where I'm making my pick. Maybe the one team that can catch up to them here a little bit. Reds got all the talent in the world though too. If they get hot, they can be cooking with something. They could be cooking with something a little bit over there. Maybe slightly, I'd go with the Cubs right now. But tonight we're going to see Colin Ray on the mound, looking for his 5th win of the season. Colin Ray so far this year 4-2 with a 3.53 ERA. His last 3 games, if you go back to the 4th, June 4th, that is, against Philly, he went 4 innings, 4 hits, no earned runs, no decision. Against the Cubs back on the 30th, 5 1/3, no decision, 5 1/3, 1 earned run. I did pick up a win on the 25th against Boston, where he went 5 2/3, 3 hits, 2 earned runs. So Colin Ray's a dude I don't know what to really expect. I really don't know what to expect. He hasn't been awful this year. And I think sometimes when he has that poor outing, we just think he's been like just awful, just terrible. And really he hasn't. Has he been like, oh my gosh, all-star, like one of the best in the season? No, he hasn't. But I think he's given this team exactly what it needs at this point in time. He's given them, for the most part, outings where his team's got a shot to win. He's staying healthy, which is probably the most important thing at this point in time when it comes to Brewers pitchers. But he's just, is the best word to describe Colin Ray right now just solid? Or you kind of, struggling to find a word to maybe best describe Colin Ray. Because I don't know, is it inconsistent? But I mean, when you look at it, yeah, he's had a few games here or there, but I almost feel like at times when those games happen, like the last one was the Astros, maybe it gets exploded into something a little bit more than what it actually was. I don't know. But tomorrow, the Brewers, they're going to have another youngster making his debut, his pitching debut, his major league debut, Carlos Rodriguez. Carlos Rodriguez is reportedly going to be making his debut with the Brewers tomorrow. A little bit on Rodriguez. We'll probably break it down, obviously, more tomorrow when he's going to get that start. But he's 22. He was a 6th-round pick in 2021. Right now, he's the 6th. He's the 6th highest ranked Brewer. Baseball America ranked him number 14 in the system going into 2023. Fangraphs put him at number 20. But this is another guy now, another youngster that we've seen so far this year with the, I mean, we've seen Robert Gasser, we've seen Tobias Myers. I mean, we saw DL Hall. He was part of the returner from Corbin Burns. You've got these young starters now that we're starting to see in action at the major league level for the first time. And guys like Robert Gasser have come out fast, hot. Tobias Myers is coming off of a fantastic outing. DL Hall's had his struggles, and he's still dealing with an injury right now. But when we get to Rodriguez's start tomorrow, it'll be interesting to see. And then you got Aaron Ashby, mixed into the equation here too. And that's where, to me, is like, let's say Carlos Rodriguez goes out there and pitches to the level of like a Robert Gasser, or pitches incredibly well. He gets another start and he continues to pitch well, and he ends up being a really good pitcher. Does that change maybe perhaps the Brewers' plans of what they're going to do when it comes to the trade deadline? One of my biggest things that I'm kind of curious about when it comes to the Brewers is, for one, we all know that if there's a big need that they're going to try to go after, it's going to be a starting pitcher or some pitchers, maybe a long relief pitcher in that. But are they going to look at a guy that they can control for a couple of years? Like, okay, he's arbitration eligible for the next couple of years, or he's under contract for another year or two? Or are they going to look for those veterans that are maybe in the final year of a deal where it's just a rental? Where at one point it might be cheaper, you don't have to give away a top prospect. Whereas if you're going to pitch for or trade for a pitcher who's got some control, you're probably going to have to give up one of your higher rated prospects. But if these youngsters are showing something and they're showing some glimpses of like, okay, we may have something here, maybe then that turns into like the Brewers saying, all right, maybe we don't need to go after a guy that we have control of for the next couple of years. We can just get a rental this year and maybe give up a single A player or double A player, or whatever it is. We don't have to give up one of our plethora, boatload of outfielders we have in the minor league system. So I'm curious to see how Rodriguez does tomorrow, if he earns another start. And if he does, and if he continues to stack those games, kind of like a Robert Gasser. Because I think the Brewers are really high on these starters for, in the future, in the next couple of years. They're really high on this rotation. When you throw on Gasser, when you throw on Aaron Ashby, then we'll see with Rodriguez, Freddie for a couple more years here too. DL Hall, if they still view him as a starter down the road. I mean, that's 5 right there. That's your 5 starters right there. Kind of we've been talking about Packers. We've been talking about Packers wide receivers, and the Packers, having these receivers where they're still on their rookie deals. Whereas this has been the offseason for receivers getting a boatload of cash, a lot of money. Brewers are kind of like that with the pitchers almost, or maybe that's where they're going to go with the pitchers at this point in time. All right, let's take a quick break here. Keep those picks coming for underrated Packer players. A lot of good ones. Who are we missing? I feel like we're missing a couple dudes though. All right, I feel like we got a lot. We got a lot of players. I feel like we're missing some. Who are they? All right, send those puppies on over. 715-830-1912. Text it. Quick break. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Now that the kiddos are out of school and it's summer, maybe you need to load up or stock up in the pantries and the freezers or wherever you store your snacks and foods. Hit up our good friends at Hy-Vee here in Eau Claire, the best deals. Make sure you're following along on their Facebook page too, because sometimes they'll have a 1 day sale over there that is just like too good to pass up. Or I mean, they got a ton of sales going on all the time, and it's right now. I saw this late last night. Henning's Cheese Month. Join us for this fun event coming up on Friday. $5 grilled cheese made with fresh handmade artisan breads and top shelf Wisconsin Henning's cheeses. You got the Brewberry, you got the spice melt with a little chipotle cheddar on there. The classic as well. I have to check that one. That's June 14th from 3 to 7 p.m. They just had their Hello Summer party yesterday. You probably saw it or you were at it over there too. But yeah, you got to load up with the kiddos now home from school. Make sure you visit our good friends from Hy-Vee for all the snacks or pizzas, or for loading up the freezer and such, or whatever the case may be. That's your go-to place there, especially with the deals and the fuel savers they got going on over there at Hy-Vee. It's like a 2-for-1. You save in multiple different ways there. Texter, give me a name so I can give you some cred. Ezra Johnson, good pick. Really good pick. And Mike Douglas. Mike Douglas. See, now we're thinking outside the box here a little bit. I like it. Keep these coming. Mike Douglas, former linebacker for the Packers. Ezra Johnson. I think we were just talking about him. Was it a couple weeks ago when we were talking about stats and sacks and Packers history, and they didn't start keeping that as official statistic till 82, and you got Willie Davis and Ezra Johnson who'd really be up there, in those numbers too. So good picks. I like that. That's now we're talking, thinking outside the box here a little bit. Thank you to that texter who did that. Give me a name so I can give you some credit out there. To answer your question, John, any news on Devin Williams? Haven't heard anything in a while. We were just talking about it last week. There was a little bit of an update, but it still seems like end of July. So post All-Star break is the expectation. He did throw. I think the last time reporters saw him, he was with the team when they played the Astros, and he was there throwing on flat ground and such. But it still seems like the expectation for Devin Williams is going to be end of July. That's what was out there last week, and I haven't seen anything different since then. So, but Garrett Mitchell sounds like maybe he's getting a little bit closer. He's going to be taking some ABs. I think it's in Arizona and such. So, but the way Blake Perkins is playing, I mean, we've highlighted certain players. Joey Ortiz. I said this stat in the first hour, which I think is a mind-boggling thing when you kind of put it in perspective of just how well Joey Ortiz has been playing this year in his rookie year for the Brewers. This was heading into the game yesterday, and I know they kind of jinxed it probably because he did strike out 3 times. But Joey Ortiz, heading into the game yesterday, has tallied more hits, 48, than swings and misses this season. He's tallied more hits than swings and misses this season. I love nuggets like that. There's stats for everything out there, but when you have a stat like that or a little fun fact like that, that to me tells you a little bit more too about how that player is doing in the season and such. That's pretty impressive. And I don't know if Joey Ortiz is going to win Rookie of the Year. I mean, he won Rookie of the Year, Rookie of the Month in May. Let me see if I can find some of the odds if they're updated here for Rookie of the Year. Do we have any odds? Any updated odds? Here we go. This is from Vegas Insider here. When was this last updated? This hasn't been updated in a while. It looks okay. Odds as of June 9th, 2000 and June 9th, 2024. Looks like he's got the 4th best odds. Yamamoto from the Cubs has got the second. Okay. Oh, the pitcher from Pirates. Yeah, he's got the third. So Robert Gasser's actually on here. He's got 5, 6, 7, 8th best odds according to Vegas Insider. So, all right, got that going for him, which is nice. So I don't think Joey Ortiz is going to win MVP Rookie of the Year unless something just amazing happens and just comes out and he just absolutely rips the cover off the ball and continues to play high level defense. But man, the season he has been having. We talk about the Bryce Terangs, we talk about Contreras, and we're talking about Christian Yelich. Those seasons they're having. Rhys Hoskins with his power. And you got Joey Ortiz, who I think is just kind of quietly having a pretty darn impressive All-Star ish, Rookie of the Year ish, worthy season so far. And Joey Ortiz is quickly becoming one of my favorite players. I love how he plays defense. It's so smooth. Those short grounders, slow rollers. I mean, how he's able to just so smooth pick that ball up in his glove on the run and the smooth transfer to his throwing arm and the throw down to first base. He is so fun to watch. He is so fun to watch. Eddie Lee Ivory from Darren, my underrated Packers. Eddie Lee Ivory, injuries hurt his career, but he was a great running back when he played in the 80s. There's another new name I'm surprised that one took a little bit for Eddie Lee Ivory. For Eddie Lee Ivory. You got some more here. Got another Nick Collins pick on there too. I said it earlier too with Nick Collins. He's such a big what if. Like how do I want to say this? A what if in terms if he doesn't get hurt, that man was on a potential Hall of Fame path. Potential Hall of Fame path. Here's another one. So is it Bear? Or is that what we'll call it? This is is that the nickname we're going to call you? I just want to make it clear, so I want to give you credit. But he says he or she says Rich Wingo was also a favorite of mine. Now we're going back. Rich Wingo. What, early 80s over there, I believe, right? Came out of, was it Alabama? I think. Memory serves me correct. Rich Wingo. All right. Few years there. Then I think he got into politics, if my memory serves me correct. I have to double check that. But now we're getting down into the deep cellars of some good names here. Carroll Dale is another one over there too. Former wide receiver, Packers, going back in the day here. I almost feel like now we're starting to get some of these, but obviously 70s, 80s, not the greatest years in Packers history. But we're starting, okay, now some of you are starting to say more 70s, 80s. Is there any, with those teams who, obviously weren't the greatest teams, but maybe who were some of the players from that era? We've got Lynn Dickey mentioned over there. I think that's a great pick too. I think Lynn Dickey, when you kind of break it down and you look at it, Lynn Dickey probably should get a little bit more credit. Obviously you had James Luff in there, who is a Hall of Famer, but when we had, Brockington was picked in that. But is there any other 70s, 80s type of Packers that, even though their teams weren't great, but that player was pretty good. He was pretty good. So maybe that's the era to kind of think about here a little bit. But we got a ton of names here, and I think we're going to have an interesting bracket, how it's going to break down here. Who's going to come out of that Packers region for our Wisconsin underrated athlete of all time? Who's going to be the Packer that comes out of there? We got some good names. And reminder, it's going to be counted on by you, the voters. You, the listeners, are the voters. I'm not picking. Brandon's not picking. Hudson's not picking. I mean, we can vote on our polls, but it's going to be up to you. So make sure you don't miss out. We're going to start this week, all right? And we'll put it up on our website. You can vote on there too. You can also do a Make sure you're following along on the Facebook pages because we're going to put up some polls up there too. Okay. Facebook.com/Kasper Sports. We got Sports Talk Facebook page over there too. So, and we'll probably put up on Twitter. So or X, whatever the kids are calling it these days, at DANKASPER. So, we got more picks here. What else do we got here? We got another another Lynn Dickey picks that just came in here. I don't know if that was just because I said it, but Lynn Dickey was picked on here. What else do we got? We got another Brockington pick. Okay. I like it. Got an Antonio Freeman pick on here. What else do we got? We got is it a Mike Butler? Mike Butler pick? Now we're talking. I like it. Mike Butler. Wow. That's a name I have not heard in a while. What else do we got here? Ed West. Nice. Got a bunch of texts coming through here now, so it's just taking me a second to kind of look over there. Ed West, another name over here too. All right. Wow, that's a good pull there too. Keep them coming, man. I love this. This is going down memory lane for some of these players here. Heck yeah. Brian Williams. Hey, man. Charles, Brian Williams, dude. I don't know if you were listening earlier. I'll bang the table for Brian Williams, man. Brian Williams easily should be in that conversation. I don't know if you're saying Brian Williams because I was throwing Brian Williams in there, but yes, we just had back-to-back Paul Kaufman picks. Paul Kaufman, yes, has been mentioned a few times already with this too. So, all right, we got to take our final break. It's time for some picks and predicts coming up. Picks and predicts brought to you by the Elbow Room in Eau Claire. We'll make some Stanley Cup picks for Game 2. We got some baseball picks coming at you as well. But keep these picks coming. This is fantastic now. This is fantastic. Keep these names coming, all right? Hit me up with a text on that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line at 715-830-1912. Quick break, and we'll start to wrap things up after these few words. Before we get to some picks and predicts, we're going to do the tip of the cap first. We usually do the tip of the cap right before the end, but I got to give a tip of the cap because to you, all you listeners, we had quite a few first-time texters, it looks like, this morning, or at least maybe first time in a while, texters. So I want to tip my cap to all of you. Big thanks for that. This is what makes it fun, is when I get to interact with all of you. And Holiday Jeff, I love the nickname. I don't know where I'm assuming that's a nickname. But if I'm wrong, you could correct me. But he's going with Fred Carey, the linebacker. Got another Chuck Cecil pick from a texter. Give me a name if you don't mind. That way I can give you some credit. But Chuck Cecil's definitely been a very, very popular pick over there too. So he will most definitely will be in that region over there too. So I'm hoping to, again, with all your picks here, we should have the region, the Packers region for the most underrated Packers player of all time up. Won't have the voting yet, but we should be able to unveil that Packers region at some point today. So you want to make sure you're following on Facebook there, facebook.com/Kasper Sports, so you can see how it is. We're not going to see them just because that's a little too difficult to do there. So we'll just put them all out there. The top 16 as nominated by you. So whoever has gotten the most votes, those are going to be players that will be added in there. And I think we're going to be in good shape there. Maybe tomorrow we'll do the Brewer one tomorrow. Or should we do the Badger one tomorrow? We'll do the Brewer one tomorrow. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a homework assignment, all right? So today's exercise, we did the Packer one there. And big thanks if you already did it on Facebook. I've already got your votes tabulated and such. So thank you for that. But your homework assignment, think about the Brewers now. Some of the more underrated Brewers. Again, try not to come up with guys who have multiple pro or all-star games or, MVPs or anything like that. We're looking for the guys, the players that probably should get a little bit more love. Okay? So think of some Brewer ones. We'll do the same tomorrow, what we did today for the Packers. But seriously, big thanks for all of you, especially, everybody who texted in. And it was so cool to see a bunch of first-timers. Welcome aboard. Over there. But thank you for all that. All right, let's do some picks and predicts brought to you by the Elbow Room. Looking for somewhere to catch some of the games, some of the actions. You got trivia nights on Wednesday. Looking for somewhere to enjoy a nice, cool, crisp man cave light in a Wisconsin summer. Well, hit up the Elbow Room, located right next to the Banbury place here. Let's start off with a little Stanley Cup finals. We've got game 2 in action tonight. Florida leading 1-0. I got to go with my Edmonton to tie it up. That's where I'm going to go with. So don't feel uber confident in it, but I think they'll get it done. So I'm going to go Edmonton tonight. Let's do some baseball games here with not a ton on the schedule, though, too, for a Monday. Not a ton. Baltimore at Tampa Bay. Give me Baltimore. Corbin Burns is going to get start for the Orioles tonight. Colorado at Minnesota. I think the Twinnies bounce back from their series loss to the Pirates. They did pick up a win yesterday. They almost got swept. But I think the Twins bounce back and they pick up a win tonight. We've got the Yankees taking on the Royals. This is going to be in Kansas City. Give me the Yankees. White Sox at Seattle. Give me the Mariners for this game. The A's at San Diego. I'll go with the Padres. Houston at the Giants. Give me Houston in this one. And then Toronto at Milwaukee. I'm going to go Toronto for this one. I'm going to go Toronto in this one. So, yeah. Those are is there any more I want to... Let me just double check something here really quick. I thought there was... Is there a couple more I had on my list here? Yeah, let's do some WNBA games here. Because we got one. It's the Indiana Fever, the Caitlin Clarks, taking on the Connecticut Sun. Indiana Fever 3-9, Connecticut's 9-1. It's the WNBA Commissioner's Cup. Give me Connecticut, and I think they covered. They're favored by 10.5. So I'm gonna go with the Connecticut Sun. All right, again, those are your picks and predicts brought to you by the Elbow Room in Eau Claire. What else do we got here? Got some more Packer picks over here too. Got a lot of the same ones over here. Got a Vonnie Holiday pick. How about that? Ooh, that's a throwback one there. Not too much of a throwback, but you know what I mean. Do have a Sean Jones pick on there too. Have a Gilbert Brown pick. Okay, now we're 90s era ish over here, early 90s, mid late 90s. Gilbert Brown pick. Got a Dorsey Levens pick on here. What else do we got here? We got another Robert Brooks pick. Got a Corey Bradford pick. Wow. Okay, Corey Bradford. Good old number 85 back in the day there, huh? All right. Got a Chewy, got a Mark Tremura pick on there too. So, all right. See, we're on the 90s kind of trend right now. So, we'll have to cut her off right here. We'll have to cut her off. So, but good picks. Really good picks. All right. Coming up tomorrow, we'll hopefully be talking about a Brewers win. Brewers, by the way, you can catch that game on the radio dials, 105.1 FM and 790 AM. Tonight, first pitch, 7:10. It's going to be a little bit of a later game, 7:10. It is in Milwaukee, but 7:10. So set your alarms. That's pregame will start about 35 minutes beforehand. Tomorrow night's game's at 7:10. Then they got a getaway day at 1:10 for Wednesday's game there. But hopefully we'll be talking about a win tonight. So again, Colin Ray is going to get to start for the Brewers. Tomorrow is going to be another major league debut for a Brewers starting pitcher. Carlos Rodriguez is going to get his debut tomorrow. So, excuse me, we'll definitely hit that up and preview that and talk about that. So, but what else? We'll hit that up. We should find out today whether Dan Hurley is going to take the job with the Lakers or stay at UConn. Apparently, we're going to find out today. So, I get it if I were him. If he wants to try his hand, if his ambition has been at some point to coach in the NBA, the time might be now. The time might be now to do that because he's got a couple national championships. On the other hand, he's got a really great team coming to UConn. So, I mean, if he wants to try for a three-peat, that might be kind of incentive to come back to and try that. I mean, that would be amazing. And then, try your hand at the NBA a little bit later on. But he can always go back to the college game. He can always go back to the college game if he wanted to. I don't know if he's going. I don't think he's going to go. I don't know. I don't think he's going to go. So, I saw this story. Anybody hear this, Cubs fans? Marty Green, if you're listening, I don't know if you saw this story. Ernie Banks, an Ernie Banks jacket was found at Goodwill last month. Somebody paid $8, $8.70. Some teen at Goodwill found this 1953 Cubs jacket, believed to be the property of Ernie Banks during his rookie season. Sold at an auction for a cool $15,569. That's 1,790 times more than what this 18-year-old paid for it when he found it in a bin at a Goodwill in Oregon less than 6 months ago, it says here. Can you imagine? Like this? These are the stories. Like I just want to go to like these flea markets or these stores and try to find stuff like this. Like I remember a few years ago, somebody found a Don Hudson jersey in a bin somewhere in like a what do you call those, like chest not a chest of drawers, but like one of those chest bins or something like that at some house, like in an attic. It's like, this is the stuff I want. Somebody found a Vince Lombardi jacket a few years ago, I think, at a Goodwill store too. Like, this is where I want to go. And yeah, here it goes. While the return for this was huge, it's not the greatest turnaround for a sports item found at Goodwill. That title belongs to Tennessee vintage clothes buyers Sean and Ricky McAvoy, who bought a West Point sweater in 2014 for 59 cents. That turned out to be Vince Lombardi's. That sweater sold for $43,000. $43,000. This is the stuff I wish I had the time and the ambition to do, because I think that's so cool to find something like that. But then it's like, how did it get there? How did it get there to begin with? I want to find stuff like that. All right, Shocklock's going to cut me off in about a minute or so. So put your thinking caps on for tomorrow. Tomorrow is also a ASAP Used Auto Parts Grind My Gears Tuesday. Okay, so think about what's grinding your gears, but also think about the Brewers players that are maybe the most underrated of all time. We did the Packers today. Thank you for all the help in setting up our bracket for our Packers region over there. We'll work on that. But I need your help tomorrow. Thank you to those who have posted the last few days on our Facebook pages for your nominations over there. Those are added into the votes. So think about your Brewers ones, and we'll hit this up tomorrow. Kind of curious to see where this one goes, to be honest with you, where this Brewers one kind of takes us. I think we'll have probably a lot of Brewers ones. The Packer one, to me, is more wide-ranging, I think, out there. Brewers ones, there's going to be quite a few, but I think we're going to have a lot of the same ones, to be honest with you. We'll still be able to fill out 16 of them, but hey, we'll see how it goes. Have a good rest of your Monday. DP, Danuts, they're up next. Let's do this again tomorrow morning, all right? 6 a.m., just past then. Thank you, everybody, for texting in, contributing this morning. Let's do it again tomorrow. See you then.